Yes. Welcome back to another HMTV stream. You got myself and Joey Boy here, going to do some transfer talk regarding Man City, linked with a few players, and we're going to do our official Premier League predictions. Hang on, let me clean this camera a little bit. There we go, a bit better. We're going to do our official Premier League predictions for the season as well. We want you guys to interact. Tell us if we're right, we're wrong, if we're dumb, or if we've got big ball knowledge. Listen, let's get some house rules out of the way first. Smash the like button if you would. There's 70 people in the building. Just smash the like button, free to do, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The growth and support from all of you lot recently has been absolutely fantastic. And I saw a message here from AA Witherspoon. Will Joe join from your channel, Hugh, on City Extra? Joe has joined the City Extra team. He's going to help us out with the technical stuff like editing and shorts and editing videos and making sure City Extra looks nice so we can make as much content for you as possible, because we do have big plans, like myself and Jordan have said over there many times. So Joe's going to help us out with that, and maybe he'll come on streams too if that's something he wants to do. There's always the doors open for Joe to come on if he wants. So Joe will have an involvement in City Extra. He's joined the team, so big up Joe for that. But yeah, listen, transfer talk. Paqueta, Doku, the word was today that City are not finished in the transfer window. We will not, or it's looking like we won't just sign one more player. We could sign potentially two more players, which is actually quite mind-blowing considering the lack of business that we were showing earlier on in the transfer window. I said on a tweet today, Joe, that if we sign Vardiol, Kovacic, Paqueta, and Doku this transfer window, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. What do you think?
I think even if we only get one of Doku or Paqueta, I think it's a 10 out of 10 anyway. I think Vardiol and Kovacic, great signings. Add one more in an area where I think we're a bit light going forward in a more advanced role. We see Alvarez playing in that 10 role, which doesn't really suit him. We're in need of a Mahrez replacement, whether that be someone who's already here and we sign a midfielder or we sign a winger. I think just signing one of them two, and the knowledge of keeping Bernardo Silva and keeping Kyle Walker, extending Kyle Walker's contract, potentially extending Bernardo Silva's contract. I don't think we need both of them for it to be a 10 out of 10. I think the both of them is more like a cherry on top of the cake, really, if we get both. But I'd be over the moon if we would just get one of them, to be honest, because I think the window has already gone fantastic with just keeping, the main core of what we have. We lost Gundogan and Mahrez, not ideal, but we've replaced Gundogan and we're trying to replace Mahrez now, and we've kept who we wanted to keep. So, again, I think even if we don't get both, one of them, and it's 10 out of 10.
Chat, man, there's 100 people in the building nearly, and we're not even on 50 likes. Let's get that 50% ratio up. Smash that like button, please. Genuinely, massively helps me and Joe. Let's start off with Paqueta. Anyway, let's talk about both these players, I suppose, a little bit individually. Lucas Paqueta, the man we all want to sell our car to right now. Just sold my car to Lucas Paqueta. I can't make my mind up if I want to sign him because I think he's a fantastic player, or it's because I really like his song, or a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. There's no doubt Lucas Paqueta is a very talented player, a versatile player, skillful, creative. He does have a huge element of that Brazilian samba style to him, which would appeal to Pep Guardiola. City are very interested. City very, very interested. Apparently, we've made 2 verbal proposals. I think the first one was £70 million, and then we went up to, I think today the word was £88 million or something around that area, which shows that if City are willing to go up that high, we take this guy seriously. Pep wants this guy, but just how high will City go for Lucas Paqueta? Because as we speak a lot about people, City set their valuation and they ain't going over that. So we don't know just how high City are willing to go for Paqueta. But I suppose start off with your thoughts on Lucas Paqueta, Joe, and the possibility of bringing him to Manchester City. Like I said, creative player. He's actually quite experienced. Brazilians are always excited to bring in as well, so I'm here for it myself.
I mean, I was here for it before he signed for West Ham. I was really, when everybody was last year panicking over Bernardo Silva leaving, if he was to leave, Paqueta would have been my ideal replacement. He was the guy that I singled out as someone to bring in, because I just really liked him as a player. He had pedigree, he had experience at the top level. He played Champions League football before, and I think he just really suited us. And then obviously he went to West Ham. I kept my eye on him. I don't think they've used him properly, to be honest, at West Ham. So when you look at his numbers, they might not be the best, but I mean, they struggled last season. They didn't really get the best out of anyone, to be honest. So I don't really pay attention to that. I pay attention to what I've seen, and I love him as a player. He's just, again, I don't know whether it's because of how he plays. He's sort of one of them players that gets you off your seat a little bit and just excites you whenever he plays. But I really like him as a player. I'd take him, of course, for the right price, though. I think that's the thing that I don't think we're I don't know how much it's going to take to get him, because there's this, or he's supposed to have a release clause at the start of next summer for £85 million, I think it is. And, you know, by that point, would we have found someone else? Would we still be interested in him? I mean, he seems set like he wants this move to happen right now. So, I mean, we talk about player power. If he wants to leave, I don't really see a way in which West Ham can keep him. It's almost like fighting a losing battle at that stage. But I don't know what I make of the bids. Personally, I think, what is it, that's Santi JFM? I don't know how reliable he is at all. So, you know, judging by the fact that I don't know how reliable he is, I'm choosing to not fully believe his word. I don't think we'd have submitted a €100 million bid, or a verbal €100 million bid, and, you know, for it to get rejected and for us to go back in for it again. I don't think that would happen. But if we were to sign him, I'd be happy. I'd be very happy, because it would solve an issue. Although it would be a little bit upsetting, because you'd imagine Foden wouldn't play in central midfield, which is something that I want to see this season so badly. But you win some, you lose some. They'll end up there eventually. So I'd be for it if it was to happen.
Regarding your man Santi JFM, who's the guy who's all over the Paqueta move, I'm fairly confident, almost certain, that Santi JFM has been credited by David Ornstein a few times for his transfer dealings or transfer information. So there must be some level of credibility to him. If he's at least on David Ornstein's radar, then David Ornstein takes him seriously. So there must be something to it. I'm going to address the chat here, because you guys are telling me about a few things. A lot of you, first of all, saying Paqueta's overrated. We'll chat a bit about that in a sec. But the first piece of news, or the first piece of I think we need to address, is apparently Ruben Diaz and John Stones are both unavailable for tomorrow's game, both injured. I don't know what the source is, just loads of people in the chat saying it. So I assume something has broken regarding those two. They're big blows. I won't go into it too much because we'll be here all night if we talk about absolutely everything. But I'd imagine if both of them aren't available, there's a very good chance you'll see Mr. Josko Vardiol start, which is quite exciting. But it's not ideal having no Diaz or Stones tomorrow for the Burnley game. It's on City Extra, says Austin. Oh, okay, right. Well, then there you go. No Diaz, Stones, really not ideal. I just did my full preview with Jordan on City Extra. I'm sure plenty of you watched that, so we actually missed that pretty vital piece of news, considering we both put Stones and Diaz in our starting 11. But there's a good chance you'll see Vardiol start. Then that's probably my only sense, or my only source of optimism to share with you guys. But a lot of you saying Paqueta is, or I mean, ID says not too sold on Paqueta, to be honest, especially the price tag. I'm in agreement. That in a normal world, that price tag is absolutely outrageous for Lucas Paqueta. But I think you, chat, Joe as well, and myself, we're all smart enough to know that the market is absolutely fucked right now. The market is totally inflated. The market is the highest and most ferocious it's ever been before. So you're no longer paying these kind of prices for the best of the best in the business like you would have done 10 years ago. You're now paying your €100 million valuations and your £85 million valuations for players like Lucas Paqueta. You know what I mean? Players like Lucas Paqueta. And that's unfortunately the way it is. And either you pay it and you swim, or you don't pay it and you run the risk of sinking. It's a sink or swim situation. If you want to maintain success, unfortunately, you are going to have to allow yourself to get roasted the odd time when it comes to transfer dealings. Even though more often than not, we are very good at avoiding getting roasted in transfer negotiations. But if this is someone that Pep really wants, and you guys know me well enough to know that I always run this line, if Pep really wants Lucas Paqueta, and that's someone he identifies as he needs and wants, get him Lucas Paqueta. Get Pep Lucas Paqueta if he wants Lucas Paqueta. If Pep wants to sell his car to Lucas Paqueta, let him do that, even though he gets around on a bike most of the time. So that's kind of where I'm at. And also, it ain't my money, so I'm not going to lose sleep over City overpaying for Lucas Paqueta. But you know what I'm saying, Joe? If Pep wants him, pay the fee, even if you feel that's too much.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I would probably say, yeah, if he wants him, he wants him. You've got to try and get him, don't you? But I just don't think, especially after seeing how well we did financially with the Gvardiol deal, I don't see a world in which we just bend over for West Ham and go, yeah, we'll pay that. I don't see a world, because I think that the board knows, and I think Pep knows, that we don't desperately need him. We don't desperately need a Paqueta. You might like him, you might want him, but we don't desperately need a Lucas Paqueta. So while obviously you want to say just pay the money,
if Pep decides we desperately need Paqueta, I mean, us from the outside looking in may go, we have enough of an attacking complement to survive without Paqueta. But if Pep says to the board, I need Lucas Paqueta, that's when the board have to say, right, we'll pay. I think you have to give him what he wants.
There is a limit, though. There is a financial limit. You can't go breaking the bank. You can't make Lucas Paqueta, for how much I like him, he can't be the second or third highest expense we paid for a player at the club. I don't think you could go that far, because I don't think there's enough in it. I really don't think there's enough in it. So
I could see this deal getting done, Joe, for 90 million plus achievable add-ons. I could see it getting done for that. The word from it is absurd. I fully agree. Trust me, I fully agree. It's absurd. The word is that West Ham want the cash. Do you know what I mean? They're not in a position like we're desperately want to hold on to Paqueta, so we're going to totally roast you, way out overprice you to the point where you're outprice you, whatever the word is. So I could see it getting done, and I could see City paying for it, because West Ham want the cash. They want the cash. They're trying to bring in Maguire, or they're trying to bring in McTominay as well. They want the cash, and they've made a fuck ton of cash this summer anyway off Declan Rice. So as a business, to sell Paqueta for £90 million, to sell Declan Rice for £100 million, West Ham have done very, very well in the transfer market this summer. So that's kind of why I can see it happening. I can see City meeting West Ham somewhere in between, getting totally roasted and still kind of overpaying. We're going to have to slightly overpay regardless.
Yeah. I think the thing that would help us in this situation is that release clause that kicks in next year. We're not going to go above and beyond. We're not going to go totally above that. It'll be within that sort of range, probably slightly more because it's a year early. So maybe the 90 million, I could see it, if that release clause is 85 million, I could see 90 million plus add-ons, because it's close enough to the release clause and it gets West Ham what they want with, they get a little bit more than they would next year if someone was to come in for him, and they'd get the cash. I mean, that's what they did with Declan Rice. That took forever with Arsenal because they wanted cash up front. They just wanted cash up front. They didn't want loads of add-ons and loads of instalments and paid over 4 years. They wanted loads of cash up front because they wanted to go and reinvest and fix that hole in their squad. So I could see it. Whether I'd totally be a fan of it, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, to be honest. I don't know why I'm saying would I be a fan of it. It's not my money. If the board wants to go and spend 90 million plus add-ons for Lucas Paqueta because Pep wants him, so be it. It's not my money. I'm not that ass at the end of the day. I'm not going to be angry at it.
You also have to remember the money is there. The money, we can comfortably overspend for a couple of players if we want to and we decide to, because we've earned a fuck ton of money off player sales. We've sold a shit ton of players for very good money, younger players for 15 to 20 million here and there for many years now. And then we earned a bucket load off winning the treble. And then all the trophies the year before that too. And then we were talking about war chests last summer. The money is there for us to back Pep right now at a time where we want to sustain success. When you're at the very top and you've hit the peak, you can either plateau and hope that keeps you going at the top, or else you can show real determination and motivation to go more and want more success. So we have the money to back Pep in a situation where we may have to slightly overpay. We got a great deal on Gvardiol, all circumstances considered. We got him for 10 million less than we were expecting to have to pay. So that's good business. Kovacic for 25, great business. So to have to slightly overpay for Paqueta, I'd understand. And then Fabrizio was talking about a potential player being involved in it. Could Cole Palmer go the other way? And that kind of links into Jeremy Doku, who we're going to move on to next, Jeremy Doku. But listen, there's 160 people in the building, and we're not even on 60 likes. So that means there's a good 100 of you have not hit the like button. So please, if you would do us the favor and just smash the like button, really, really helps myself and Joe. And subscribe if you're new around the HMTV community. Listen, Jeremy Doku, don't know a huge amount about him. So whatever you know, Joe, you're gonna have to tell me. And chat, all 165 out of you, you're gonna have to give me your information on Doku and give me your assessments of Doku, because, like I said, I can't claim to have watched a huge amount of him. So obviously, right wing option. All I do know about him is he's fast, he's tricky. I've seen people compare him to Adama Traore, which is not what I want to hear. But City, I know for a fact, I was told today, have been interested in Doku since the beginning of this transfer window. They took their foot off the gas with Doku for about a month, and they decided they weren't really arsed. But as of the last couple of days, City are once again putting the foot on the gas for Jeremy Doku. I can tell you now, I'm not ITK, but I'm telling you, as I always say, people, I'll always tell you what I hear, and what I've heard is that City are putting pressure again to get Jeremy Doku. So, Joe, I'm going to need you to help me out here, and chat, I am reading what you guys are saying because I want to know a bit about a potential signing for us.
Well, I'm going to have the chat help me out a little bit, because I am not up to speed on the French league at all whatsoever. I know we were interested in him when he used to play for, I think he played for Anderlecht. I don't know whether he played on the Vincent Kompany or not. I don't know. I'm not sure. Possibly. But I know we were interested in him when he played in Belgium before he got his move to Rennes. And then it kind of just cooled off because, I mean, he left. He went to a French club, so we just parked our interest. And I'm surprised. I am very surprised that this name has even come up again, because it is so against what we are basically playing like at the moment, which is pauser. We love a winger who will just turn backwards and pass it backwards to someone in the midfield, because, again, it's what Pep wants. That's what Pep wants from his winger at the moment. We see Grealish doing it. We see Bernardo Silva being played on the wing. He's doing it. So to say Doku's an outside shout would possibly be putting it lightly, because he is the exact opposite. He is Adama Traore is probably the closest thing I can think of in terms of just, he's pure pace. He's going to run at his man. And try and get around the outside of him and possibly put a ball into the box, which, in terms of just sheer plan B, it's not bad. It's not bad. I think it's something that, when we looked at our bench last season, when you looked at someone to come on and change a game, there wasn't really that outstanding name that could come and change something about the way we're playing, change something, be a bit more direct. When you looked at, towards the end of the season, if you wanted to take Bernardo Silva off, you were bringing on Mahrez. They're kind of one in the same on the wing. If you want to take Grealish off, you're bringing on Foden. Foden's a bit faster, but still, they're both, not like tearing up the grass behind them, which is what Doku is. So I'm very, very puzzled as to why his name's come up, because it's just not one that I'd associate with us even trying to sign, because it's not someone who fits into the way that we're playing at the moment. But I can't say I'd be like overly disappointed, because if it's a plan B, it's a plan B. If it's someone that we can bring on and tell him to just run at his man for 20 minutes, when that fullback is tired and getting into the last 20 minutes of a game, stick on Doku, who's absolutely rapid, and just tell him to run at him. Maybe it could work. Maybe that could be an option late on in games as an impact sub. I mean, to my knowledge, he's already an international, so he's got a little bit of experience.
He's just a different option. Do you know what I mean? He's just a different option. I get what you're saying. On the outset, at first thought, it doesn't make sense because he's very different to what we do. But that could be the exact reason as to why Pep Guardiola wants him, because he's a totally different option to the Porza wingers we have now. Foden, as good as he is at times at beating his players, his DNA and his natural instinct is to retain possession and keep possession at all costs, and that's what works fantastic for Philip Walter Foden. Jack Grealish, that's him all over. Bernardo Silva it's probably him all over too. So Pep might be saying, we want that firepower. We want that extra dynamic to call upon if needs be, depending on who the opposition is. You might want a direct, pacey winger, and it makes you as a team overall more diverse. It means we could play balls in behind or over the top and let the fast man run onto it. We're not always relying on the winger to drop deep and pick up the ball from deep and keep the ball moving side to side. So it would add a different dynamic to the way we play overall. I've seen, Asgar S in the chat says Pep is going to play Doku like Raheem. If he's going to play, if he gets Doku and he wants to play Doku like Sterling, I would want it to be like Sterling from 17-18 and 18-19, who was this direct, pacey, aggressive winger who wanted to take on fullbacks, not like the winger who he became in kind of false nine period where he was doing that dropping deep. He wasn't taking on the fullback as much. If Doku's going to come in, I want Doku to stay the way he is and be a grass burner, take on fullbacks. But I don't know a huge amount about him, so I can't really give you my overall, do I really, really want them? But that's the only conclusion I can draw up as to why I might want Jeremy Doku, because he's just a totally different option. So, I mean, ID says, if Doku could assist or score on a regular basis, I'd be all for it, but he's literally a younger version of Adama. If he's the key there where you're saying ID is younger, if he's younger, you would think that he can be coached and developed by Pep Guardiola to improve his output, his overall GNA. So maybe that's something Pep's thinking. Like when you're bringing in young players, if Pep's ever bringing in young players, it's a massive part of it is Pep sees something in him that he can develop into what he wants. You know what I'm saying? Like Doku would develop very differently under a Mourinho or a Conte to what he would develop under Pep Guardiola. So Pep would have a plan for him, so I'd back it. If Pep brings him in, as always, there's a plan, and I'm behind it. So listen, we'll park Doku there for the minute because there's not too many updates regarding him. It seems Paqueta is advancing swiftly. The Paqueta move, City are moving fast on that, so we'll keep our ear to the ground on Paqueta. There will be streams here. If anything happens, there'll be streamed on City Extra. If anything happens, of course. So hold tight on that one. Listen, we're going to move on to our Premier League season predictions now in a second. Let me get a sip of this. When I speak too much, my mouth gets dry, people. Do you know what I mean? When I hear my own voice, my mouth gets dry, and that's a sign I need to shut up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you once again to please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We're coming up to 200 people in the building, so smash a like and subscribe if you're around. And we're going to do our Premier League predictions. Joe has made a nice table for us to use. We're going to whiz through the kind of bottom. We'll do relegation. We'll whiz through the middle of the table, and then we'll do our top 5, 6. And talk about that. It's interactive. We want you guys to get involved and share your thoughts. Like I said, tell us if we're wrong. You cool to start, Joe? All good?
All good, I think. They should be able to see my little creation.
Can you zoom in on that further, or is that the way it is?
I don't want to zoom in too much because I've got to drag and drop the teams, but...
No, that's good there. I think the chat, is that good? You can all see that nice and clear, yeah? That looks all right. You can make that out. We want you guys to be able to see it and interact and tell us what your predictions are. I think that looks good, Joe. I think that looks good. Right, we'll start off with bottom place, Joe, will we? We'll whiz through the bottom. It's good. It's good. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go out and say first of all in 20th. I'll do my bottom 3 relegation. I'll do my bottom 3, and then you can say yours. I think I had on the big 6. I think I said Wolves, Luton, Wolves bottom, Luton second bottom, and Bournemouth third bottom. All three gone, obviously.
Interesting.
What have you gone with?
I had Wolves. I would have had Wolves second bottom. Or would I? I haven't thought about this. I never gave it much thought. Apart, well, the mid-table stuff. I think my relegation would have looked so. What was yours again? Bournemouth third bottom.
Luton second bottom, Wolves bottom.
I think the only difference in mine would probably be I'd have Sheffield United in there. Personally. I think Sheffield United have just sold like everyone.
Yeah, I was deliberating between Bournemouth and Sheffield United, and I kind of just did an eeny, meeny, miny, mo in my head. And I was also deliberating on whether it's Luton bottom or Wolves bottom, because Luton, they do not have the resources to stay up. So I don't know if they'll be last or second last, but are you cool to go with that then? People in the chat saying Bournemouth will be mid-table, bottom Sheffield, Luton, Wolves.
I would replace Bournemouth with Sheffield United, I think, is what I would do.
All right, well, there's a good few people in the chat saying replace Bournemouth, Sheffield United, so do that. Go for that.
Okay, let me check in here. Right, so we good with that, are we? Sheffield United, Luton, and Wolves finishing rock bottom. I'm happy with the bottom 2. I think Wolves, their transfers, they lost their manager, they lost Ruben Neves, who's their best player. Like, Luton just don't have the resources. Like, I'm happy with the bottom 2.
All right, well, we'll take that bottom three. I'll do the super chat first here. Big up MCFC Solo with the $4.99 says thoughts on the online discussion about Foden has the potential to be one of the greats, but if he doesn't start 80% of games, we're limiting him. He must. First of all, thank you so much for the super chat, MCFC Solo. And I understand that there's a lot of external pressure on Phil Foden to be playing more for Man City. And I think myself and Joe are in the same boat that we both want Foden to play more for Man City, but it is very much the nature of our team that, particularly with the wider players and at least one of the midfielders that's not Kevin De Bruyne, whether it was Gundo in the past or Bernardo, now it'll be Kovacic and Foden, it will get mixed around a lot. So, I mean, I find it hard. I find it hard to make my own mind up. I want Foden to play more. I think he will this season. I want Foden to stake a claim as a starting, like nail himself down as you must pick me. I am starting 11 week in, week out. So that's kind of where I'm at with Foden. But, you know, it's one of those ones, MCFC Solo, where time will tell. Time will tell. He must, it says you, though. He must. I agree. Big up Bevo as well with £2. Everton for me over Wolves. Awful transfers. I can see where you're coming from, Bebo. I can see where you're coming from, but I just have this feeling about Everton and Sean Dyche. I just think Sean Dyche will keep them going. Wolves just lost Lopetegui, didn't they? He was kind of the glue to keeping them together and playing well, and he was their main man. So I'm just purely on the basis that or Everton have Sean Dyche. I'm going to keep them safe. But I fully understand where you're coming from, Bebo. And big up to you for the super chat, by the way, as well. Right, we'll move into mid-table 11th to 17th. Do you want to go through yours first, Joe? Because I went through the relegation one.
Again, I haven't thought about mid-table. I've thought about the most important part.
Well, you better think about it now.
Mine's kind of messed up. I probably should have come up with like a draft before I did this, but I only have like, I only knew in my head who was getting relegated and like who the top 7 was. That mid-table, the sort of rest of the top half of mid-table, I have no clue. Like, I know which teams are in there, I just don't know which order.
Well, give it a stab. Give it a stab live. Let's watch it.
Stab live. Right. 17th, I'd probably go with Everton, to be honest.
Right.
I think Everton and Bournemouth, 16th, 17th, because...
I'd swap them. Personally.
I agree with the whole Sean Dyche thing, man. I just think that and Everton's home crowd is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So I'd be confident in them staying up. So yeah, and I think that out of the two that are remaining sort of mid-table, I think those two are most likely to be dragged into a relegation battle. With
So we've Bournemouth 17th, Everton 16th. Who are you going with 15th?
This is where it gets tough. I'm going to put Burnley.
Ooh, you think Vincent Kompany Burnley get 15th, yeah?
Yeah, I think... Now, it'll be interesting to see how they do with the style. Because, of course, Vincent Kompany wants to... He did really well in the Championship, but as we know, sides like that are playing progressive football and want to attack games in the Championship, like a Norwich, usually don't fare too well in the Premier League because they're a bit naive and a bit gung-ho and end up sticking to their principles, and it usually doesn't end up going out too well. So, yeah, but I think they'll be fine. I hope they're fine because I want Vincent Kompany to do so well as a manager. I really want him to do well, so...
I like that 3 you have there. I like that order you have so far. I agree with it.
I'd put Forest up next.
Oh, I might even swap Burnley and Forest, you know. I'm not sure about Forest.
I'm not sure. The only signing I can name is Alanga. Did they not sign the Arsenal backup goalkeeper Turner? That's it.
Swap Burnley and Forest, mate.
Yeah,
swap Burnley.
yeah.
I have a feeling about Burnley, chat. What are you saying about Burnley? I think they're going to surprise a few people this season, you know. I think they're going to surprise a few people. Chat, tell me about Burnley. Who you got next? I'm saying Fulham.
Fulham. I was going to put West Ham.
If they get McTominay and Maguire...
It's so hard because it depends on like if they lose Paqueta, do they sign someone else? Because they're signing Ward-Prowse. They want to sign Maguire. That's probably going to get done. They want to sign McTominay as well, or will they sign McTominay because they're going to sign Ward-Prowse?
AA Witherspoon's is Burnley 12th. Wow. I am caught between Fulham and West Ham here. And then there's Palace as well.
Yeah, I'd Palace. Oh my god, this is tricky because they've all lost. Or they're all going to lose key players. Like West Ham have lost Rice, they might lose Paqueta. Palace lost Zaha for nothing. So it's not even like they've got funds to reinvest. They might lose Elise, who's out injured at the moment anyway. Fulham, I mean, Mitrovic, is he still kicking off because he can't go to Saudi Arabia?
I don't even know, you know.
So I think those three are up next, but in what order, I don't know.
I'm going to go and say Palace, West Ham, Fulham, because Fulham still have like Paulinho and Mitrovic.
Yeah.
There's not much to work off there, Chad, I know, but it's the best I can offer in terms of insight.
It's hard, man, in this mid-table area because there's just so many clubs that are the same.
Right, well, we'll park that part of the table there because it's not too exciting anyway. Bevo back with the 5 pounds this time. Sorry, Joe, what are you saying?
Yeah, that's it. That's mid-table done. Just making sure we had the right numbers.
Big up Bevo, man, for the continued support. Really appreciate that. He says, for me, Brentford are down there. No Tony till January and lost Raya. Burnley top 10. A lot of respect for Burnley in the chat, man. I rate that, and I agree with you. I just don't know my official predictions here with Joe if my gut's telling me to put them that high. I believe they'll surprise a few people this season. They're not going down. I'm putting that out on a limb. They're not going down, Bevo. But with Brentford, yeah, no Tony till January. Raya gone. But Thomas Frank, man, he's a good manager to get them playing. They've still got some good players, and Buemo and all them as well are still there, aren't they? So
yeah. So they'll just about make top half, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually going to put them in at 10th, the next team in.
Yeah, let me just move all these over, actually, because they're a bit to one side. Where'd I get to? Burnley, Forest. God, there's such a smoother way to do this, but I did this like an hour before we went live. Let's check that.
There you go. There you go. W's for Joe in the chat, man. W's for Joe in the chat. Yeah, Brentford 10th. You agree with that?
Yeah. I think I would have put them like 10th or 11th. Because that Tony miss is so big, but like I think they'll be fine because the manager, like they were at one stage, they dropped off towards the end of the season, but one stage last season they were like pushing for that Conference League spot. They were with like Fulham, Brighton, Villa, Liverpool, sort of 6th to 10th range. They're really up there. So the loss of Tony will hurt them, but it's not like they're in any trouble getting relegated.
This is where it starts to get techie, Joe. 9th up, I think. I think these next 3-4 places are going to be tough. Before we do move into it, though, chat, once again, your regular reminder to smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Really, really helps me and Joe. And subscribe if you're new to the community. Right, 9th place. I'm going to go out on a limb here, chat, right? And I might get roasted. I'm going to say Brighton.
Nah, I was thinking Brighton as well. Good man.
Yeah? W's chat?
Yeah.
Donna Leeds says Brighton. Donna Leeds says Brighton. What up chat saying? Brighton 9th. Brighton 9th. I think Brighton 9th.
They lose Caicedo, which I think they will.
They've lost Caicedo, McAllister. Caicedo and McAllister. Is that it? They lost anyone else?
Caicedo,
they're two massive.
McAllister, they're the big ones. And they're like, it's not even they're the big ones. That was probably like 2 of their best players. They lost a goalkeeper, but they signed some young goalkeeper to replace Sanchez, who went to Chelsea. And apart from that, I think they roughly kept the same, but I don't know, man. They've got European football.
Yeah, they lost Caldwell. They lost Caldwell.
That's a big one. And they've got European football. They have Europa League football. So it's not like they can just focus on the Premier League again. Like that Thursday Sunday schedule could kill them off.
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll agree on that. Most of the chat are saying they kind of agree with Brighton. Douglas Wright says he's not sure, but most of the chat, I think, he kind of agrees.
It's hard, man, because from like this point upwards, it's all teams that could get European football. Like De Bruyne mentioned this after we lost the Community Shield. There's like 8 or 9 teams that could beat us. From this point onwards, it's like I can see all of these teams nicking a point or nicking 3 points off us next season. This is so difficult.
Right. 8th place. Bevo with a super chat first. Let me think about it. Bevo with £2 again. Bevo, I must say, you're making life a lot easier for me here. With these super chats, you're buying me time to think of who I want to say for each place. But he says, City first, Liverpool second, United third, Arsenal fourth. Bevo, that's controversial, mate. That's controversial.
That's a big take.
I like to hear those takes, though. I like people who come out with these takes because you need that. Do you know what I mean? It's boring when everyone's like, "Yeah, City first, Arsenal second," and everyone's agreeing. I like these kind of takes, man. Big up Bevo. Right, Joe, 8th place. I'm gonna say it. Why, man? Newcastle.
Whoa. Whoa. That's a fucking shout. That is.
How are you, man?
I don't know whether I could get on board with Newcastle in 8th.
I'm telling you why as well.
Crazy.
Tell you what. Let me give you my rationale first.
I'll let you land.
They're back in the Champions League for the first time since God knows when, 19 odd years. For me, this summer, they simply have not strengthened enough. They brought in Tonali. Yes, he's a good footballer, but as you always say, not sure about Italians coming to the Premier League. Remains to be seen. They brought in Harvey Barnes, didn't they, from Leicester? Decent signing, but I'm not sure it's one of those, like statement makers, like, yeah, we're moving up even further. Whereas, to kind of make a bit more sense, in 7th, I have Aston Villa because they've done good business. Villa have been strong, and under Emery, I think they are more capable of dealing with the pressure of European football and Premier League. So I'm going Newcastle 8th. Bevo says, clip it, man. Yeah, I will clip it, Bevo. I will.
Oh my God. I wasn't expecting that. I was more expecting, Villa would have been my guess, but I would even put Spurs there instead of Newcastle, man.
No. Trust in Ange. I trust in Ange. Spurs, you're going to be shocked when I tell you where Spurs are.
All right, I guess you live and die by these predictions, don't you? This is going to bite us when Newcastle finish fucking like second or something, isn't it?
That's the nature of the game, mate. That's the fun of these streams. Like, if we're so wrong about this, all of you lot who are here in the chat now, you can come back in 8 months' time and tell me how much of a knobhead I am.
I do understand, though, because their depth is, with Champions League nights, their depth is still pretty poor. Like, they lost St. Maximin, they got in Harvey Barnes. They ended up signing Tonali, which is like an extra body, because I don't think they lost anyone in midfield, but it's not like they were starting Sean Longstaff last season, so it's not like it was like this all-conquering midfield. So you think they signed Livramento at right back. I'm trying to think of who else they signed.
I've made a balls of this, mate. I've made a fucking balls of it.
Have you?
I completely factored out Harry Kane leaving.
Well, is he going to leave? Because Sky Sports are saying this afternoon that even though the bid's been accepted, it's a 50-50 chance as to whether he actually decides to go or not, which I think, personally, is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, I've made a fucking meal of this, chat. I've made a balls of this. This has fucked the whole thing up.
Listen, man, I tried to tell him about Spurs, and he was too blinded by his Ange Postecoglou love that he forgot that Harry Kane may or may not be playing in Germany next season.
Right, for just for stream's sake, because he's still a Tottenham player, we're doing this on the basis that he's still there this season, right?
Cool.
Don't at me now. Don't at me. This is the way we're doing it.
Oh dear.
Lee Gates with the £5. Big up Lee Gates, man. Says, great channel, Hugh. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. There's a lot of people talking about a transitional season for City. What do you think? I thought that last season, Lee. I won't lie. I thought last season would be transitional, and then we went on to win a treble. But great managers like Pep Guardiola are fantastic at avoiding what you and I would consider to be a stereotypical transitional season, where you have your drop off and you don't look the same as you did the years before, like Liverpool just had. That was a transitional season to some degree. So whether you want to call this transitional for City is up to you. But if Pep is as good as we know he is, which he is, he'll do his best to not allow the transition to be detrimental. And I don't think it'll be too transitional because we have our striker. We know what way our defense is going to play for centre halves, or at the very least, or at the very most, you'll have Kyle Walker, a fullback, and then you still have Rodri and De Bruyne, so the core is still there. So maybe transitional is not the right word, but anything under Pep Lee, I'm pretty comfortable with that. We'll get right and everything will be perfectly calm. So big up for the super chat, by the way, Lee, and big up to Bevo and MCFC Solo. Anybody who sends super chats, big up yourselves. So we've agreed, Joe, that this is based on Harry Kane staying.
This is based on Harry Kane being a complete fool, which I won't put it past him, and deciding that even though there's an offer on the table to go win trophies, he still, for some reason, sticks it out for a season at Tottenham.
Okay. We're agreed. So 7th place. Who are you saying? If you're in agreement with me, which I know you're not so far, just because of the Newcastle thing, but just for argument's sake, you agree with me. Out of who's left, who are you going 7th?
Well, there's a toss-up between Villa and Spurs for me, but I'd have to put... If we're going off the basis that Kane is staying for a season...
Yes,
I'd
Joey
lean
boy.
towards Aston Villa in 7th. That, back-to-back European finishes wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, there you go, Joey boy. You got it now.
But, yeah, again, that's on the basis that, once again, I think we have to mention this every single time we put someone in going forward. It's on the basis that Harry Kane stays and he doesn't leave.
Yeah, okay.
And then Spurs would follow right after, because regardless of whether they keep Harry Kane or not, they're getting no higher than 5th. They're not getting top four.
Have you Chelsea next? Yeah,
I would have, yes.
Okay, well then, I would have had Chelsea below Tottenham. Hot take, I know, but because you let me have the Newcastle one behind Villa, I'll give you that, right?
Well, Chelsea they're really confusing me at the moment. I won't lie. They've just
I'll do the super chat first, Joe, and then we'll do the talk, right? So Bevo again with the £5. Big up, Bevo, man. You're really showing great support tonight, and I can't thank you enough. Honestly, that's wild, Hugh. I see that, Daniel. Is Haaland, Callum Phillips, Akanji, and Alvarez not transitional? Look what happened. That's what I'm saying, Bevo, man. I thought last season was transitional, and we won the fucking lot.
we do great with transitions under Pep. Remember that one season, 1920? Now, we only won the League Cup, but we came second. we played Fernandinho at centre half all season, so we're all right when it comes to transitions. I mean, we won a treble and finished second.
we don't really do usual transitions. Anyways, back to the I can see I'm getting stick in the chat. I know Daniel de las Heras, excuse me. I know it's wild, but I gotta go with my gut here, brother. I gotta go with my gut. And my gut's saying that Tottenham will finish 5th, Chelsea 6th. But I'm giving Joe this one because he gave me Newcastle in 8th. So that's where we're at.
Yeah,
go on, go on.
It would be a little bit muddled up. If this, again, based on the fact that Harry Kane is staying, he will drag them to a European finish, Spurs, somehow, if he stays. But, if he doesn't stay, then I would probably switch Newcastle and Spurs and push Chelsea back, maybe. I don't know. But that'd be the only change I'd make.
This is give and take, Joe. This is negotiation. We're a team here. You know what I mean? We're never gonna get our whole 1 to 20 that we really want.
Yeah, okay.
Me and you are a team. Me and you are a team, Joe. Together forever, brother. Right? we, not me. We will live and die by these predictions. So, it or not,
you will agree with me though that if this was a non-Harry Kane Spurs team, you would switch Newcastle and Spurs.
I'd bump up
Villa, but switch Newcastle and Spurs.
Yes.
Okay, right, okay. But again, this is on Harry Kane staying, so that's not happening.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting into the juicy section, chap. We're getting into the juicy section. So before we get in there, another quick reminder. This is your last final reminder before we do the top 4 to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you're new to the community. Top 4, Joe. This is serious fucking business. This is where friendships are won and lost. This is where families fall out. This is where you get blocked on Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Facebook.
This is it. This is where we determine whether we are him or not. I know you can't have two hymns, but we are an entity. Right. 4th place, Joe. I want you to do it. Tell me.
The red shite down the road.
Agreed. Right, we're off to a good start, chat. What are we saying? United 4th. Charlotte says 4th United. What are we saying, chat? W, United 4th. Is that a W or an L take?
Who was it before? Who was the was it Bevo with the super chats came in before saying Arsenal 4th? That is still that's still living in my head. Like, that is a wild shout to say Arsenal 4th. I rate it though. I do rate it.
Daniel, man, what are you smoking, mate? He says United 2nd. Daniel.
Must be United
Daniel, I
fan.
need explanation to that. I need explanation. I can't let that sit, mate. You did not just say that. I know you're not just saying that. You're trolling, mate. Fuck me, man.
Must be a United fan because, second.
Nah. We're saying 4th. We're saying 4th. United 4th. Right, Joe, 3rd place.
Well, this is where may come unstuck here, but I'd put Liverpool in 3rd.
Yeah, and if they get Caicedo, they're pushing hard.
Oh, if they get Caicedo, I'd be tempted to move them up to 2nd.
And pushing for title, but the defense is a bit iffy, isn't it?
Yeah, but the main hole they've got at the moment is defensive midfield. If they were to sign Caicedo, then their 11 for 11 with Arsenal is very, very close, and they're less likely to bottle it because they've got over the line before.
There's talk of Liverpool getting Lavia and Caicedo before the window ends. That's a serious fucking window then, isn't it?
That'd be crazy, but it's not going to happen because Chelsea are going to get one of them.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Right, so 2nd is Arsenal then, isn't it, for us?
Second is Arsenal. I mean, that was the most obvious one in the list because, we all know who we were going to put first.
And then who is the winner of the Premier League 2023-2024, chat? Manchester City, your Premier League champions. Bernardo just sold my car to Lucas. Not really that, yeah. So as I said in the Big Six last night, and I said to you guys on a stream as well recently, Arsenal must win the Premier League. The pressure, I believe City will do it. I back my club, but Arsenal, there's now pressure on you to go and win the Premier League because of all the gas you've been given for years now and all this bullshit phase talk, all the money you've spent. You beat City in the Community Shield final, we were told after, and you now believe the mental block is gone. You can go toe-to-toe with City, go and win a major honour. This is not us predicting Arsenal will just come 2nd and that'll be, good for them. Pressure's on Arsenal, mate. Pressure's on. And I'm going to hammer that home all season long. But anyway, Joe, that's our predictions. That's our 20. What are you saying?
I'm happy with it for the most part. I'm sure no doubt there'll be, I don't know about me now, but definitely for you, someone's going to have screenshotted this or screen recorded this. And if they remember come the end of the season, I'm sure your Twitter notifications will be very peaceful and very very civil. Let's just put it that way.
Listen, everyone who follows me on Twitter are lovely people. I get nothing but lovely notifications. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can see my handle's actually on screen there at HughMurray1894. So go over and follow me on Twitter if you would. And actually, Joe, what are your socials, man? Are they in the description?
In the description.
Yeah, if you want to follow Joe, do go and show Joe support because Joe does everything that you see on this channel that looks nice. I'm just a host, and I obviously have fantastic ball knowledge, so I'm the host. So, but all the things that look nice, the graphics, the thumbnails, Joe makes all them. So if you can support Joe in any way, do, and look out for him, because if you want to see him on City Extra, let City Extra know. Let Jordan know that you want Joe over there. Big up Bevo again with the £2. Bevo, you are an absolute legend, my friend. Genuinely, can't thank you enough. Arsenal fourth because of UCL focus for me. I can see where you're coming from, but it ain't good enough. It ain't good enough. Arsenal
They've got a squad now. They've got a bit of a squad now.
Squad. They've got depth, Bevo. They've got depth. They spent dough. They won the Community Shield. They beat City. They were on top for 247 days last year. Go and fucking win it. Go and fucking win it. It's up, Bevo. I know what you're saying, but they've got to deal with that pressure. That's not an us problem. They got to go deal with that pressure because we've been doing it for years. We've been winning Premier Leagues while being told we're bottle jobs in Europe, and still then eventually got the job done via a treble. So pressure on you, Asna. You must. But anyway, back to what I was saying. If you want to see Joe on City Extra, he has joined the team. He's joined the City Extra team in terms of the editing and the techie boys, the nerds, what they do. Him and Jordan will be running the creative side of things. But if you want to see Joe on streams, let Jordan know when he's live. Let him know, and we can get Joe on, because Joe is a top man. We put some respect on Joe around here. So, listen, that kind of wraps us up, Joe, doesn't it? That kind of wraps us up there. Actually, no, fuck it. Really quickly. Golden Boot, Haaland.
Oh, yeah, Haaland.
Top assists.
I've got an agenda. I can't just pick him.
Oh, Joe!
Sorry.
I've just picked you up.
No, I mean, the obvious answer is Kevin De Bruyne, because it's fucking, like, I don't even know, because he didn't actually pick up a big injury last season. It's just Haaland didn't score for 9 games and he still won it. So it's Kevin De Bruyne. It should be.
I'm going to say Kevin De Bruyne, outside shout, Phil Foden. I need a big season from Foden. So we Golden Boot, Player of the Year, Haaland.
Yeah, I mean, if he scores as many goals as he did last year.
Young Player of the Year.
Is Haaland eligible?
Probably, but just be different. I'm going to say Vardiol. I'm going to say Vardiol. Just for the crack.
Just for the crack. Young Player of the Year. They're not going to give it to a defender. That is such a dead answer. They're not going to give it to a defender. I genuinely can't think of anyone but Haaland. If he wins Player of the Year, he'll win Young Player of the Year. Genuinely. Such a sad thing to say.
Haaland for everything. Haaland for everything.
Golden Glove. Haaland.
Right, there you go, people. That is the prediction stream and a bit of talk on Paqueta and Doku as well. Really, really hope you all enjoyed the stream. Really, really appreciate all of you coming in, for smashing the like button, for subscribing if you're new around here. Thank you to everybody who super chatted. Bevo, MCFC Solo, and Lee as well. Thank you to everybody for super chats. We'd never ask you to super chat, but when you do, it helps us keep the lights on and all that kind of thing. But if you don't want to super chat, that's perfectly fine. Just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So genuinely, all of you, as I always say, can't thank you enough. Your support and your help makes this so much more fun for us, and seeing your inputs makes this really fun and enjoyable to see all of your opinions. So big up every single one of you. There won't be any content tomorrow. City are playing. Jordan is doing a watch along. It'll be solo, or you'll have a guest with him on City Extra. I will do one of my video reviews straight after the game, so you'll see me on City Extra with a video anyway. And then myself and Joe will probably come back here on Saturday to talk a bit more about Burnley and just general chit chat with you guys. So listen, big up every single one of you again. If you're watching on playback, smash the like button and keep subscribing. Let's keep this community growing, people. Come on, City tomorrow, and we'll see you very soon. Wrap her up, Joey boy.
Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are